episode. I'm just back from Vienna, and today on the Block Chat, we are having not Makram Honey, but we're having Julia Buchholz, our CMO, is with us today. And there's a special reason why she's here. She's going to tell you a bit more about this. But there's new things coming up, and it's, a result of team collaboration, but as well as, building out a community. Not just a community of our BST holders, but as well a community of companies that we have the pleasure of working with. Julia, welcome to Block Chat.
Hello, Denis. Hi, everyone. Great to be here.
Great to have you here. Great to have you here. I hope we can, Makram usually adds a lot of energy to this Block Chats, and I hope that everybody watching us today is not going to kind of miss his presence. But he's wrapping up a couple of things in Dubai because he's flying this weekend to Europe, where we'll be attending ExpoReal, which is one of the largest real estate conferences or expos. It's 3 days long, and it's held in Munich. Have you been at ExpoReal before?
I haven't. I am originally from Munich, but at this time of the year, we normally go to the Oktoberfest. So the city is on a big party. But yeah, no, I haven't been to ExpoReal. Maybe next year.
Yeah, hopefully. So you mentioned Oktoberfest, and it's actually crazy what it does to accommodation prices. Honestly, I kind of looked at when we were booking for Makram and myself. It was really showing the influence or the impact that Oktoberfest has on booking rooms. So the hotel industry must be booming at this time, I bet.
Absolutely. And you know what? Talking about real estate and connecting it with that, a lot of people who live in Munich and have apartments, doesn't even have to be right in the city, can be like the surrounded suburbs as well, and who do not like to have that busy time and to party. They're actually just renting out their apartments over these 16 days to tourists, and they're charging an absolute fortune. And for the money, they go on a 5-star holiday somewhere and have the best time. And they're just leveraging basically the real estate they own in the city. And they can charge like much higher prices than they normally could.
Yeah, because I was comparing this. It was like more or less the same timing. And, this week I had to spend a night in Vienna. And then next week I'm spending 3 nights in Munich. And I kind of compared a bit, what's offered on Booking, on Airbnb. And, it was just like 3, maybe even 5 times the price is in Vienna. And I don't think Munich is, that big of a difference from Vienna, or it shouldn't be actually. But Oktoberfest is actually doing. It's a great, and plus there was COVID, so I think there was a year where, at least 1 year where there was no Oktoberfest. I think.
I think 2 years.
Oh, yeah. 2 even. You see.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were in Munich?
2019.
Oh, okay.
Before COVID started. So yeah, I'm gonna go next year. Next year, I'm gonna go for longer.
Okay.
I'm gonna spend hopefully the summer in Europe and maybe work a little bit with you, Denis, in Slovenia in the office. Hey.
That would be great. I mean, we're kind of growing into this very decentralized type of organization. Everybody working from somewhere else, and I'm also looking forward to next week because a couple of people from the team, we're gonna be able to work 1 full day together in the office. So we're gonna make sure to share some pics I guess.
That's
So
really good. I'm a little bit jealous, but it's okay.
we're so far
Um,
away.
I know, I know. So for those who don't know, I'm based in Perth, Australia,
Yeah.
and Denis and the headquarters is in Slovenia, and then we have Makram in Dubai, and yeah, so all around the
And
world.
we have Simon in Dubai now. He was in Cyprus before. He's also from Germany, by the way. Our Web3 dev. And then we have our head of DeFi, Adite. He's based in Prague. He's originally um, uh, from Albania, right? So from Kosovo, actually. Sorry. And um,
And Daniel, our head of
and
risk
Daniel
as well.
our head of risk, who just joined this year, he's originally from the UK. I think he's now living in northern Germany, and he's actually
Yeah.
flying to Ljubljana because Makram is coming from Dubai, and we're meeting here on Friday. Um, so, should we talk a bit about this partnership that we're doing?
Yes, it's a brand new partnership, official announcement today. And what we did was we partnered up with a
It's
a
a dating
dating app.
It's a
Yes,
dating app.
something completely different than most would think about, and most
Exactly.
would think, what does a dating app have to do with real estate?
Exactly. So uh, it was very interesting to start this conversation, right? And honestly, I had to understand a bit the concept behind where the potential is. So a bit about Dua, right? Dua is a Swiss-based company who just acquired one of the largest dating apps in Germany, by the way. So they have a huge user base, and they're making the strategy from going just being a dating app to going into other directions as well. And they see Web3 as a huge potential. So they're going in the route of implementing Web3, making it available to their user base from the app, right? That they already, where connect people through. And an interesting angle of Dua is that they basically connecting diasporas. So um, people from a certain culture living abroad, and that's like that's a core challenge for people who live abroad. You live in Australia and your origin is German, right? Now, connecting with other people from that culture or background might not be as easy as people might think, and Dua wants to facilitate this because in many cultures there's this it's much easier to connect with somebody with that same background, right? And here's where we come in as well, connecting them potentially to real estate in their country, supporting, you work abroad, but then you're able to invest in real estate, where your home is, where your family comes from. And making those connections, I think it's just brilliant.
Yeah, definitely a new angle. And as we know, those kind of mainstream apps, they have really huge communities, and they're coming new to the token market as well. And so we said, why not partnering up and collaborate and go together on the journey and try something new that none of us has tried before in a collaboration like that. And we see where it's going to go, and we hope that their users are going to like our properties, and we can create some general interest there for the tokenization of real estate.
Exactly, and I think it's just it might be like our community, how they can see it, right? Um, I see this partnership. Yes, we're doing it with one dating app, but if we solve a problem for their user base, we can solve that same or similar problem for other, other app users or users of other apps as well. So once we create that technical connection, we can actually reuse it with other companies that maybe want to open up to that possibility as well. So I see this again as part of our infrastructure that can then be leveraged to open up and kind of grow tokenized real estate through various partnerships that are not necessarily in Web3, but maybe in Web2.
Absolutely, and not only so they themselves don't need to necessarily run their own marketplace. They can partner up as well with Blocksquare marketplace operators potentially, and so there's so many levels where this can go in the future, and where the entire ecosystem could basically profit on and leverage the from the community on all ends basically. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it to explore and to discover and see where this is going, and we hope that their community is gonna like what we do as well.
Yeah, me as well. And tell me, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
no, I just talking about community and talking about new markets and educating new markets about blockchain, Web3, real estate, tokenization. Um, Tell us a little bit about the event you attended 2 days ago.
Okay. So I was in Vienna. Blockchain Real is actually it's the first conference on real estate and blockchain in Europe. It was first launched, I think it was 2018, I believe. Or maybe even 2017, I'm sorry, but around that time. And basically, it was launched by Walter Stramitz, who's originally from Graz. So the first conference was in Graz, was held in Graz, and it was a big attendance right there, and it's a German-speaking conference. So everybody's presenting in German, except I was the only one presenting in English.
That's how
But
special you are, Dennis. You got invited anyways.
and uh, and it's amazing to be there every year. So except for the Corona year in the middle, every year it's changing a bit the conversation, but it's evolving, and you see that people are understanding um, uh, the use case of tokenization much better. Yeah, it was very exciting. It was more or less people from Austria that came, who are either working on some projects like a custom built marketplace, for instance. And I know Markus Neumeier is building this for some time, and they've done a great job, honestly, on the UI side. And it's great to hear a bit of the traction they're getting, because I always say, the more marketplaces are successful, the more the real estate entrepreneurs are going to see that there's this very big opportunity right now to launch your own, right? And with Blocksquare, you're basically able to achieve this in a matter of weeks, right? Uh, shall we maybe share the screen and show a bit of, go maybe talk about what we presented at Blockchain Real, so that, our community can also kind of see what we've been discussing there?
Absolutely. Let's talk about it.
All right. So this is the deck that I use here. And I wanted to really talk about liquidity, right? Because That's the promise of tokenization, right? It's going to solve liquidity in real estate. And on the other side, there's not much liquidity being created through tokenization so far, honestly. There's just the promise, but not much has been happening. So we really wanted to analyze and have this discussion on the conference about liquidity, the reasons for why it's tokenization is not really finding it in this form that is mainstream, let's say, if we can call it mainstream, versus other ways of tokenizing real estate. And by the way, the conference was about ESG as well. That was the main topic, right? So it was talking about environmental, sustainability, and G is for governance. But the goals of ESG or the ESG goals go way beyond. So it's also about community, about inclusion, opportunity, etc. Right? And many don't know, but there's this report that the JLL, which is one of the largest service providers in real estate worldwide, does every year. And every year, the report is more or less the same. And what they quote, JLL, is that 50% of all capital is captured by 30 cities worldwide. And they present it as something good, as something really great, right? But if you zoom out, you see that actually much more of the capital, so like 80%, goes into 60 cities. And if you zoom out to 100 cities, you basically capture all of the capital that goes into commercial real estate, which means 100 cities worldwide get all the money, all the investment, all the prosperity, right? And if you think of the world, where you have tens of thousands of towns and cities and, smaller municipalities just being neglected from that capital. And the capital is being poured in through pension funds. And they're focusing on those cities. Why? Because it's easier to have liquid assets. There's more liquidity there because everybody's there, right?
Yeah.
And basically, yeah, this is like, I see this as a big opportunity for real estate tokenization. Because if you look at Web3 as being this decentralized source of finance that is triggered or directed by its users, it can really flow into those markets that don't have this attention.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if we're looking back in the history of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and how they got created to create access to the financial system for everyone, and to support the unbanked, basically, and those who cannot participate in the global economy because they don't even have a bank account and stuff like that. I mean, this is why cryptocurrencies got created in the first stage, and then looking into a very centralized market like real estate, and then when we combine it both, this is where we can create something very, very, very powerful for everyone to participate, and not only for the elite.
Exactly. So it was, we talked a bit there on mentioning, all right, so this capital goes into this established markets, and what does this do to the population, right? And if you want to have, inclusion, equality of opportunity, etc., this just doesn't support it. This is totally against whatever ESG goals bring into it. It's creating, concentration of the population in very urbanized areas, is putting a lot of weight there on transportation. People need to move basically to live in those big cities to get opportunity to work And this is exactly what's happening right there. Why the world is as it is. It's because real estate is being developed only in those areas, and so you don't have, this the same opportunity for young generations if they stay in their hometowns. They need to move somewhere else, right? And this is kind of then the slide that we basically talked about right now. It's, there's a lot of underserved markets, like you said. It's that, if you look at the chart, the map before, in the layer background, you see that Africa, for instance, just doesn't have any city on those 60 top cities. And even if you go to 100, there's nothing there as well. So it's totally underserved financially. And how can you expect it to be developed if there's no capital being invested, right? And so we then see what you were talking about a bit. What's your view, Julia, on kind of those two asset classes? We have this, crypto assets who have certain qualities and pros and cons, right? And you can also we can debate if high volatility is actually a con, or the high risk that comes with it, because many people, I mean, I like the volatility in crypto, honestly, and I like the highest risk there. It's an exciting asset class because of it for me. So for me, this is all a plus. And on the other side, real estate, it also has those negatives, like, it's very liquid as an asset class. It's hard to access. It takes a lot of time, etc. And there, I really feel that these are cons that should be improved. Do you think that this makes any sense?
So personally, I like the volatility in crypto as well. I think the beautiful thing about cryptocurrency is that everyone can do however they feel best. So those who want to jump and gamble a little bit, they can go on the next promising 1000x coin, and who it just launched as a whatever NFT image or something, and says that's going to be the next big thing, and people throw money into it like crazy because their mates were doing it. And that's high risk investment, but people like to do it. They go to the casino as well and gamble. So for them, it's more about the fun, I guess, and potentially it's going to go somewhere. And surprisingly, community, is strong. So community drives it for a while, and a lot of people make a lot of money in that. Personally, I believe that cryptocurrency volatility is also a great opportunity, especially for those who cannot afford to invest a lot. So, and those who really do the homework, really do the research, and really understand what they're doing, and say, this looks really, really promising. I'm gonna put in, $100 or something because that's what I can afford. But I cannot afford to put 10,000 or $100,000 in something. So I'm gonna put in $100, and if I'm lucky enough, and I support this project, and then I tell my friends, and if I'm lucky enough, and so on, and the project is gonna do well, I'm gonna make thousands out of it, for example. And for someone who's living in a poor country, especially, this can be a lifesaver and really a game changer, and really set them up to then take it to the next level and start a business or whatsoever. So I think there is a lot of opportunity in volatility, and I don't think this should be over-regulated or anything like that, or taken away from the people, because in the end of the day, it is opportunity and its decisions. If we want to be more stable, then we can buy into more of a stable coin. There is the opportunity for that, and then just earn some interest on it, for example. That's for those who want to be more in this niche. And then others who are like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go with the top two, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and that's how I'm gonna create my savings plan for the future. And because I understand what the technology can do and how powerful it actually is for the entire system we have. So there's all these different variations. So is volatility something negative? I don't think it is, personally. But if I say like that, if you invest in every single shitcoin that's launching somewhere and just comes up today and is pumping, and Yahoo and everyone goes like, yeah, this already made whatever 200% in the last 3 days, it's a new coin, go for it. And I buy blind and don't even know what I'm buying there, because I follow the hype. Well, then it can go in the wrong direction as well. So don't cry about it. And and most important is that people understand that education is really the most important thing, in my opinion. Don't invest into something that you do not understand. Understand what you're buying in, like you would do with anything else as well, and be confident that you want to support what you are actually buying in the crypto market. And if you're really believing into, yep, this is something I really like, I want to use it in the future, and I actually would be a potential customer for that if it would be ready, then I think you are supporting something you really believe in. So you're in it for the long term as well, and you don't drop out and give up on anything, and because it actually had a purpose for yourself. So I think that is really important. And I think this really comes down in tokenization and the combination of crypto assets and real estate. Because in real estate, for example, people, yes, they're doing their research. They're going to the bank. They're saying, I would like to buy a house. Where should I buy? Yeah, everyone said in that area. Okay, I'm going to do that. Going to buy there. Hopefully it's going to go up. But I'm not actually investing a couple of $100. I actually invest a lifetime mortgage and make a contract with the bank and have to work for them for the next, depending how long your mortgage is, maybe 30 years or something. And spend a big amount of my income actually on just paying the bank without
And as
owning
Makram
it.
says, is like, how is this logical if I have, on one hand, I can buy into a multi-billion dollar asset like Apple stock through the purchase of stock, and I can't really buy into 1 million property in the same way. How is this? How does this make sense, right? And
Yeah.
and I think just merging the two with tokenization, I think we're kind of creating, like Makram says a lot of times, we're really creating a new asset class, right? And it's not real estate. It is real estate backed, but it's not real estate, but it's an asset that has much more quality. And a lot of times when you have Web3 projects pitching to, Web2 type of investors who are, saying, okay, what's your revenue? And that's their benchmark to assess a business. You know, you can't really compare tokenized or projects protocols with tokenomics to a startup selling something online. It's just not the same metrics. You can't really do that. And just like they had to figure out what the metrics were for social media platforms who didn't make a dime before they became multi-billion companies without doing any revenue. And so if they were able to grow those type of companies, and now they're monetizing on it heavily, I think the same logic goes to token communities in a way, or protocols run by a token. And the metrics need to be changed, especially if they want to invest in this type of thing. And the investment should be done through a token and not through equity, for instance, because the quality or the ownership model is different.
Yeah.
So the ownership model is changing, and that's kind of the education that sometimes we're mentioning that needs to change as well.
Absolutely.
Now,
And one thing I would
this,
like to add
yeah,
as well is that everyone who talks about real estate always talks about it as it would be the most normal thing then that everyone in our economy can go and buy real estate if they wish so. And everyone can just go to the bank and apply for a mortgage. And everyone is, can, but it's not the
not
case.
true.
And,
No, it's not true at all.
and on LinkedIn, there is all the time so many discussions where people discussing, oh, why would a business accept crypto? Why would a business why would we open up for this volatile market? And why would you even want to spend and buy a coffee when your crypto is down 5% on that day, and so on and so on? And there's these people just discussing all day long about this instead of just thinking one time and saying, all right, well, you have maybe some good points there, but what about those who actually would like to spend their crypto in the coffee shop? What about those who would like to spend their crypto at a car dealership? What about those who actually would like to have that special service provided by the merchant and not be excluded? Because, for example, in Australia, over 25% of Australians own cryptocurrency. Why would you not, as a business, offer that extra service? And all it requires is that you actually upskill your team a little bit so they understand how this impacts the customer service and how to do it. And that wouldn't take much. That is simple team upskilling, education, be ready for what's to come, and just be one of the first out there who actually separate themselves by providing a better service to those who choose. The same as why can I not just I can pay my rent in crypto. I just have to use other third-party providers. There's a lot of choice. But why, this opening up and just providing for that 25%, which is not even a small number. 25% is a lot.
Yes.
For a real estate agent, for example, why wouldn't I just offer that extra service? Simple as that, just to make it easier for them.
I agree. And here we come a bit, I think, also to the question of where does real estate in tokenized form actually fit, right? Because for the past 4 years, I've been going to conferences and I've been focusing mainly on the real estate side of things, honestly, in those conferences, because that's where the asset class is. That's where the real estate people are. And you need supply if you want to address demand, right? And when we talk with potential clients who want to launch a marketplace, they're all like, not all of them, but some of them that come from this traditional side are like, oh, but we don't want to have anything to do with wallets, and people need to be able to use a credit card to buy it, etc., right? So there's all those requirements that they have because they want to sell, let's call it the centralized finance market, right? Investors who are not dipping their toes into Web3 at all or into crypto, let's say. And that's great, right? And why this is happening is because everybody's coming from the notion that they're tokenizing real estate through the tokenization of shares, honestly, right? And so that's the market that they can address through that model. While what Makram says a lot of times is follow the money, right? And the money is, I believe, in DeFi. It's compared to central, the establishment, it's much less, right? But this capital, this wealth being created in Web3 is eager to try new assets, to invest, differentiate, distribute their earnings into different asset classes. And tokenized real estate is one of those that they don't have the real access to, or they just don't care in the form of, oh, then I get a share in a company that owns real estate, right? And the market has grown so much in this past year. And then obviously now we're at the same kind of levels of 2020 right now, but this doesn't really matter in terms of total value locked. And I think that here is where the core value proposition of Blocksquare lies. With what we provide, you can really start addressing Web3 users. And you just don't require the education of, how do you set up a wallet? How do you, what is a stable coin? How do you pay for transactions on Ethereum? People know about it, right? The users in DeFi, they are familiar with everything there is about using DeFi. And so you just can skip this and just basically just focus on the education of, tokenized real estate, how it is tokenized, the formula behind it, and what people actually get by purchasing that token, as opposed to a meme token that doesn't have anything backing it except hype, right? And here I would, basically go into this slide here. This is a meme that we basically created for the Vienna conference, and it received a couple of smiling faces as feedback from the audience, honestly. But this is what is actually happening. This is what companies are doing in terms of real estate tokenization. They have this amazing new invention, tokenization, and they're basically just, saying, okay, now we're gonna put this on company shares, right? Tokens are gonna represent company shares. And what happens is it just blocks them out. They need to go to the financial regulator, ask, can we tokenize shares of a company? They don't get an answer back, so it delays everything. It discourages any investors to come on board on the project. It basically, then if they receive an answer, it's like, okay, you can do it, but right, you need to do all of these things, you need to pay for a license, etc. So just increase the cost of running that type of business. And on the other side, you don't have much track record to support your investment thesis that this is the future, right? And the people should be investing in this. So this just doesn't go anywhere. And I think
that expensive and slow exercise.
Somebody's going to pay for it, and guess who's going to pay for it? Whoever is buying the real estate tokens. They're going to offload those costs onto them. So, ask yourself how much overhead you're paying when you're investing into a property tokenized, where what you're getting is a token representing a company share. There has been a lawyer that has been paid $30K at least for that single tokenization. There's been the technical partner charging for the token, etc., for the technical part, and there's somebody who's promoting it. Somebody basically operating the marketplace who needs to make some profit on that sale. So you immediately, the larger the input, the larger this part for the operator, because they're saying, okay, if the lawyer and the tech guys are making 50K on this, we need to make 50K as well, right? So, and then it really depends on the size of the asset, right? And I believe that this is just a cost that shouldn't be there. So the way we tokenize real estate, it decreases that cost drastically. It decreases it so much that we're actually paying, or we're covering the cost of tokenizing real estate. The 45 million that we've tokenized so far, we're covered for Ocean Point, we're covering the cost of tokenization. So can you really compare those two types of products?
Only for limited time, though.
Only for a
not
limited
forever. We cannot cover them forever, but the point is that the system we created has been created so it makes actually tokenization of real estate affordable and fast as well.
Exactly.
For the property owner. Yeah.
So here in this slide, I'm just going to leave it here so anybody watching us can maybe pause at the time and just go through it and see kind of the pros and cons that we find in, and the difference between tokenizing, company shares and tokenizing economic rights. I think one of the things is the timeline. Like tokenizing economic rights, it's, a 1-2 days process. Basically, the longest thing the thing that takes longest is for the shareholders of the company to execute the resolution. And if this is done in presence of a notary, that delays a bit even more the process. But otherwise, it is very fast as the process of doing it. While tokenizing company shares, a lot of times you need to move the asset to a newly formed SPV or LLC company. You need to ask the regulator, can you do it? In many jurisdictions, it's not even supported or allowed. It might be even illegal doing it. And, I think those things kind of outweigh the benefits of tokenizing through company shares, which everybody would say, okay, this is an established framework, everybody knows it, and I don't need to explain somebody what shares in a company, being a shareholder in a company means, right? But I think it just doing it that way, it just cancels out everything that DeFi can provide to tokenize real estate, honestly.
Yeah, I think, in real estate, people are used to so many things. They're so used to the old ways that it's a little bit, hard for them to find the trust in the new ways, even though blockchain itself is the instrument of trust. They're still, have more trust in a system without the trusted proof or trustless proof. That is, really interesting. But I think, like everything new, this is changing and people are getting more aware of it, especially once they know how to use Etherscan, for example, to look up things and use it as a tool of proof. When people would start learning this, how to use actually the blockchain, then I believe there would be a lot less scams happening in real estate, in finance. So all these middleman scams where you're receiving your SMS and with the link, yeah, here I'm your real estate agent, pay your first rent, just click the link and things like that. Or we found your Bitcoin that you lost back in 2016. All you have to do is send us $10,000 and we're gonna open the wallet for you and stuff like that, So it's like I've seen many things in the last couple of years.
Oh, wow. I never heard of the last one, but yeah, I bet there must be a lot of them. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we sometimes get calls here, like even from a financial advisor who asked me, can you have a look at this? There's and I just go there and I click and I compare their financial statements they're getting sent via email, and they're just they don't make sense. Anyways, so there's there's a lot of need for new technology in the industry. That's for sure.
For sure. I think it was. I really enjoyed the block chat today. I think it gave a bit of different dynamics. Today we don't want to be too long. Again, trying to keep on those 45 minutes. But I'd love to see you on a block chat with Makram as well sometimes. So hopefully we've broken the ice now. And we're gonna have many more of this blog chat with your insights and your input and your perspective on real estate tokenization, especially because you're actually educating Australia, the Australian real estate market on real estate tokenization, and you're the number one Australian real estate tokenization woman.
But let's see where this is going. Thank you very much. Well, it was great to have a little bit of a real estate and crypto chat. We never have enough time to do that outside the normal work schedule we have. One thing I want to point out is we did a little podcast with the Orange Brick Road, which is an education company in Australia as well. And we had Makram and Denis together interviewed by Brandon from Orange Brick Road. And the podcast is going to launch in a couple of days, so I think next week. But I had the pleasure to listen in already today. And I really got hooked because it was really, really, really good. Like, I really liked that interview. There's so much really good information and a lot of learning. So I learned a lot. And I highly recommend that once this is getting launched, we're going to share it all and over our Blocksquare channels as well. And, make sure you join our Discord and our Telegram and follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn and all of that. But we will share it there and really, really tune in for that one, because it was amazing to just learn from you and Makram so much about real estate and tokenization of real estate, and really the different thoughts as well, and the different hats everyone is wearing. And yeah, it was a good one.
Oh, I enjoyed that conversation. Well, we didn't know really how long it's going to be, the podcast. I think it's now something, an hour and a half long podcast. But I think it was brilliant. And I didn't watch it yet, but I really enjoyed that conversation. It brought so many different aspects. We talked about crypto, we talked about real estate, where those connect together. We looked at crypto from a real estate guy's perspective, like Makram, who's not investing in crypto. And then there's on the other side, there's Brandon, who's really into it, right? And that's what he is doing mainly. And then you have me, who's kind of in both seats, really investing in real estate and in crypto. And what I love about those two is the different cycles that don't necessarily correlate to one another. And then we talked about. We also talked about a baseball team in Australia who has a chief Bitcoin officer, if I'm
Chief
correct.
Bitcoin officer, exactly. Yeah. So more to come about that.
Exactly.
There's some very, very, very interesting comments, and why tokenization of stadiums actually is such a game changer. And we see maybe if we're very lucky, we're gonna find a Blocksquare tokenized stadium very soon. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Dennis' dreams come true.
I need to dream more about stadiums being tokenized. I need to visualize, tokenizing the stadium. But it is. It's one of my my big dreams of what to do with real estate tokenization. It's totally different asset class, right? Anyways, so Julia, was really good having you on BlockChat today. Great discussing about the DUA partnership. We talked about the Vienna conference. We talked about crypto and real estate. Love the conversation. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. It was another Block Chat with Julia Buchholz this time and Denis Petrocic. Thank you for watching and tune in. Make sure to join our Telegram and our Discord groups and engage with our community.